Welcome to the Thrive Forever Fit Show, the podcast that's here to ignite your potential and guide you on a journey towards living your best life. I'm your host, Jay Nixon, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. On this show, we're passionate about one thing, and that's helping you reach your full potential, whether that's in your health and fitness, relationships, career, or personal growth. We're here to provide you with tools, strategies, and inspiration to thrive in every aspect of your life. Each episode will dive deep into topics that matter most, featuring insightful interviews with experts, thought leaders, and individuals who've achieved extraordinary success. Together, we're going to explore powerful mindset shifts, nutrition and fitness strategies, effective goal setting, mindfulness techniques, and much, much more. We'll break down the barriers that hold you back and help you build resilience, focus, and unwavering determination. So if you're ready to unleash your potential and embark on a transformative journey, this podcast is for you. It's time to embrace your inner fire, tap into your limitless capabilities, and make every day an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered to live the life you've always dreamed of. The Thrive Forever Fit Show is here to support you every step of the way. Let's dive in. Before we dive into the show, I want to take a quick moment to talk about the sponsor of this episode. It is very dear and near and close to my heart because it is Lori's company, SpaStar. If you ever had the opportunity to watch someone create something from a thought or a vision and make this magical thing actually come to life, well, then you'll know why I'm so extremely proud of her and why I'm so excited to have her sponsoring the Thrive Forever Fit Show. If you've listened to my podcast, then you probably heard her on episode 259. If you haven't heard that, I would go listen to episode 259 as soon as you finish this episode. She talks about the story of how she created it, the adversity she overcame, the challenges that she worked through, and just the inspirational story that I know you're absolutely going to love. But what SpaStar is a luxury wrap. And it was created as a spa wrap for people who were getting beauty treatments. But what we found out is it is a piece for everyday life. People are wearing it as swimsuit cover-ups, resort wear, just to get ready in the mornings or for that special event. It is the most unique piece. And I've actually worn this thing several times. I was the actual first model for this. Maybe I'll show you guys some photos of that when the time is right. But it is such a cool creation called the Get Ready Wrap by SpaStar. And because you're a listener, you get 15% off today because you support me. So just go to spastar.net, the word spa, the word star.net. And at the checkout, enter Thrive15, THRIVE 15, and you're going to get 15% off of your Get Ready Wrap. So many of my clients already have these and absolutely love them. We're selling them all over the country and all over the world, for that matter, to high-end luxury spas and to people just like you that are using them inside of their own homes. They're traveling with them. They're using them at the pool. It's so really just unbelievably cool to see and witness. And I'm so blessed to be a part of it. And I'm so blessed to have Lori actually sponsoring my podcast, which I think is really, really cool. So go check out SpaStar. I know you're going to love it. It is the coolest thing ever. And guys, this isn't just for ladies. This is one of the coolest gifts you could get any female in your life, for that matter. If Lori hadn't have created it, I would buy them for her as a gift to show her my love and appreciation. So dudes, if you're listening and you need to get a gift for your significant other or some special person in your life, go to spastar.net, grab a Get Ready Wrap. There's all kinds of colors. There's black, there's sage, there's a berry color, there's a gosh, I just went blank. There's a kind of a greeny, kind of avocado-y color. Really cool. You're definitely going to love these, I promise. So go to spastar.net, check it out, support Lori. And Lori, thank you for sponsoring the show. All right, let's get to the action. Let's dive in. Today is going to be all about a day in the life. I get questions all the time. Marissa gets questions all the time. What does Jay eat? What does Jay do? When do you get up? When do you go to bed? How much sleep do you get? What do you take? When do you take it? Why do you take it? How do you take it? So today I am basically going to give you a step-by-step analysis of an average typical day in my life. So let's kick it off. I wake up at 3 a.m. 97.6% of the time. I know for a lot of people that is an early wake up call, but I've been doing this for close to probably 10 years. So my body is programmed to be awake and wake up at that time. Oftentimes I'll wake up even before that. I don't really use an alarm. I set an alarm every night because I believe in preventive maintenance. I believe in having backup systems for things of that nature. So I set my alarm every night or before I go to bed, but rarely does my alarm ever even go off. My body is programmed to wake up at 3 a.m. Yes, this even includes on vacations and when I'm out of town. Now, if I'm on vacation and the time zone is super wacky and it just doesn't make any sense, then I do try to adjust my sleep and wake schedule based on that. But in a typical average day, when I am here, I am waking up at 3 a.m. The first thing I do when I get up is I go to the kitchen and I drink 12 ounces of water. This is just my way of jump-starting anything and everything possible in my body to get my system rolling, to wake myself up, to get that little bit of hydration that I need after going all night with no fluid intake. Then I go into what Lori and I call kind of the experiment room or the health room or the wellness room or whatever you want to call it. It's where I keep my Beamer mat, my sauna, our jade mats, all of our other unique apparatuses that we use to stay healthy, fit, and all those things. So every single day after I have my water, I go into that room and I lay on a Beamer mat for 8 minutes. Now, what is a Beamer mat? A Beamer mat is just that's a brand name, but it's basically a PEMF mat, a pulsed electromagnetic field mat. So what does this do? Why do I lay on this every single day? And I do it twice a day. At the end of this, you'll hear that I do it in the evenings as well. So 8 minutes in the morning, it increases your red blood cell and the capability of your red blood cells to carry oxygen and nutrients throughout the arteries and capillaries and organs. And it basically grounds your body. We have all of these charges. We're basically one giant electrical charge that is navigating our way around the world. And we pick up other charges from our cell phones, computers, Wi-Fi's, you name it. And so we need to get those charges out of our body. One way to do that is to do grounding, to put bare feet on the soil, like on dirt or grass or sand. First thing in the morning at 3:15 a.m., I don't really want to be outside barefoot doing all those things. So this is a really great way for me to get grounded and start my day. But it really, the real cool thing about it is with the oxygen and the nutrient capabilities of the red blood cells, it helps with oxygen delivery to all my cells, my organs, and everything. It helps with localized blood flow. So if I have an injury or something of that nature, it helps to send all of those healing nutrients to that particular area. Helps with recovery, performance. There's some studies that show that it helps with physical fitness, muscle strength, endurance. It's really just for longevity, vitality, and just overall well-being, as well as some stress reduction. So I do that for 8 minutes. Then I go and I have my first cup of coffee for the day. I write Lori what I call the note of the day. Every day, I usually get up before Lori and I write her a note and I put it beside her coffee. And I do it on a little 8x10 card. And it just gives her, I try to give her some kind of positive mindset thing for the day. Every day is a little bit different. I don't write the same thing every day. Just want her to know that she's loved and she's cared for and she's capable and the world is filled with happiness, abundance, and love. Those are usually some of the characteristics of what my note includes to her, but it's just something I've started and I've done for the last 17 years is I try to give her a note every single day to let her know that I love her, I care about her, I'm thinking about her, and then just a little positive kind of mantra or affirmation that she can use to start her day with, to know that today is going to be an amazing and abundant day. Then I come to my office and I write my daily gratitudes and my daily affirmations. I write down in my journal just things that I'm grateful and thankful for. I'm so blessed and lucky to be alive. I'm so blessed and lucky to have this amazing life that I get to live on a daily basis. I write down affirmations. If there's things that I'm working through or thinking about or whatnot, I'll write down specific affirmations that that help just kind of supercharge me for the day. And it just gets my brain in this really positive, powerful place to kick off everything that I need and want to accomplish today. What I also do is when I come in my office, I always have frequency music playing in the background. So Lori and I do this everywhere. I always have it on the background of my computer when I'm in my office. It just plays all day long. It's some frequency that I've chosen for that particular day. But what we also do, no matter where we are, if we're in a hotel room, if we're at an Airbnb, we always have frequency music playing on the TV just through YouTube that just like permeates throughout the room. We do it every morning when we get up. It's just our great way to, like, again, we're just one giant frequency. And the more you can create positive frequencies in your world and in your life, I just believe it's just the greatest thing that you could do for yourself. So I turn my frequency music on, I write my daily gratitudes, my affirmations, and then I kind of go over my day. What's today going to bring? Like what am I going to accomplish today? What are my outcomes for today? What am I going to get done? How am I going to win today? And I just kind of walk through that, kind of, set myself up kind of as a game plan. And I game plan the day. Here's my strategy. Here's what I'm going to do. And then that kicks off the execution of that strategy. And I'm most creative in the morning. And so there's variances in my day. So 4 a.m., if I'm going to the studio, if I'm going to Thrive Fitness Studio, I leave the house at about 4 a.m. It's literally about 90 seconds away from my house. So I'm super blessed and super lucky. So if I'm going to the studio, I leave here at 4 a.m. If I'm staying here, then I'll be in my office at 4 a.m. And that's when the work kicks off. That's when I start my day. So studio, pretty self-explanatory. We get there, get ready for the day, put the workouts up, create the workouts, game plan, look at the strategies for all the clients coming in. How are we going to best serve everyone that walks through the door? My goal is that every single person that walks through the door leaves my place, leaves Thrive Fitness Studio better, happier, healthier, and feeling more abundant than when they walked in. That's my goal. So that's what happens on a day that I go to the studio. On my office days, that's when the work kicks off. That's when, and I'm most creative in the morning. I'm most creative before noon. So I know that. And that's when I do all of my writing. If I'm working on a book, that's when I definitely focus writing on my book. That's when I'll write emails. That's when I'll write sometimes I just write. Like once you ever start a writing process, and I've written a couple of books now, you kind of keep that same process. And I just kind of brain dump oftentimes. And then I'll strategize things that I'm working on, strategize different campaigns and different marketing and different ideas that I have. And that's my most creative time. And then after that's done, then I'll respond to emails and messages and do all of those things. And then at 7 o'clock, that's generally my workout time. So at 7 o'clock, I'm going to work out for between 30 and 45 minutes, depending upon the particular session, depending on the week, depending on what body part that I'm really focused on. And that's also when I consume my first serving of Thrive Elite branched chain amino acids plus electrolytes. That's my first serving of that is at 7 a.m. when I kick off my workout. 8 o'clock, I'm either back at the studio for more client activity, or I'm back in my office at my desk for another about hour and a half to 2 hours worth of work. Then between 9:30 and 10, I go for my first walk of the day. You'll see later on that I do 2 walks every single day. So between 9:30 and 10, that's my first walk of the day. My goal is between 3 to 5 miles. And I often get like, Jay, what do you do when you're walking? It varies from day to day. I do coaching calls, I do connection calls, I do business calls, I do strategy calls, mastermind calls, like you name it. I'm a big active listener. I feel like your brain works better when you're actually in movement, when you're actually change your physiologies in play as well. So I'm not a big sit at your desk kind of guy all day. If I'm going to do calls, I'm going to have strategy meetings, I'm going to do business calls, things of that nature. I like to be moving when I do those because it really just activates my brain. If I don't have calls, then I usually listen to a podcast, or if Lori's available to go with me, she goes with me, and then we just chat about how we're going to change the world for all the better and make this place a more abundant place for everybody that we get the opportunity to touch. Now, a lot of people ask me, Jamie, what's the goal of your walking every single day? So my steps per day minimum, so that means the minimum step requirement for me every single day is 10,000 steps. And that is what I call active steps. That doesn't count if I get up from my desk and walk to my kitchen to get a drink. That doesn't count when I walk from my desk to the bathroom. I'm not counting those as active steps. My active steps are when I'm actively outside in the actual, the walking phases of that. So 10,000 active steps. My max goal is 20,000 active steps. So 10,000 steps for me is roughly about 5 miles, and 20,000 steps is obviously roughly about 10 miles. So lately I've been tracking about 20,000 steps every single day for like the last 10 to 14 days, just because I've had so many calls, so much activity, and it's just a beautiful way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So 10,000 steps is my minimum, 20,000 plus is my maximum. And so when I get back from my walk, I start my walk between 9:30 and 10. When I get back from my walk, then I do a 20-minute infrared sauna session. Sauna's at about 140 to 150 degrees. I sit in there for 10 minutes, detoxifies, purifies my body, great for your brain, great for your psychology. Something happens after 20 minutes of hot heat exposure. You get these things called heat shock proteins that get kicked off in your body. They actually help eradicate free radicals and damaged cells and things of that nature. So it's really healthy for you. There's a few studies out there that show that if you do a sauna for 20 minutes a day, I think it's between 3 and 4 days a week, that it extends your lifespan by up to 7 to 10 years or something of that nature. I don't have the exact details of the study, but super beneficial. So that's part of my practice as well. And that again is in the lab, if you will, in Lori and I's house. And so after my 20-minute sauna session, then it is time to break my fast. For those of you guys that don't know, I intermittent fast every single day. It just works for me. It helps with my inflammation control, my recovery. I like to be a little bit hungry. I don't like to ever be full. I don't like that feeling of fullness. So intermittent fasting has just been an absolute blessing and a gift for me, a blessing and a gift. It helps me control my weight, helps me keep a low body fat percentage, all of those things. So break my fast every day between 11 and 11:30. I always get this question, Jay, how do you break your fast? How do you break your fast? Guys, if you haven't noticed by now, when I was writing this, I'm like, I am pretty basic. There's not a lot of variability in my days, especially my routine days. I would say, 90% of the time. So I break my fast every single day with the very same thing. 1 scoop of Thrive Elite Daily Greens and 1 scoop of turmeric powder for inflammation control, just cellular health and all those things. It's in a bottle in the fridge. It's already ready to go in the morning. So at 11 o'clock or 11:30, when I decide it's time to break the fast, I walk in there, I open the fridge, it's already cold, I shake it up, I just drink it really quick. I only make it with probably about 6 ounces of water, because I don't want to fill up on the liquid from that, because I'm also going to drink a liter of water with my lunch. So I drink that down. It's the first thing that goes down the hatch for the day, every single day. And then it's followed by some variety of this. I eat this. These are my meals, guys. This is where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that boring of a nutritional intake. But what I found for me is the more routine I am, the more consistent I am with the same foods over and over again. I just really love these things. And so they're easy for me to eat and not get bored with. It just simplifies life. And I'm a big believer in, if you can decomplexify, probably not even a grammatically correct sentence or words, if you can decomplexify your life, simplify your life, then it opens up the ability for you to have the freedom to do so many other things cognitively. So for me, this is just one of those things. It's like Steve Jobs wearing the same clothes every single day. For me, it's like if I eat the same foods every single day, they're already made in the fridge. I just have to open the fridge, pop the top, heat them up if I want, eat them cold if I want. So this is it. These are going to be a variety of the meals that I eat. 1 pound of ground beef, and it's always grass-fed, grass-finished. So if I say that I'm eating meat, I'm just going to say this once so I don't have to keep repeating it over and over again. If I say that I'm eating meat, it's going to be grass-fed, grass-finished always, whether it's ground beef or whether it's a steak. If I say I'm eating bacon, it's always going to be uncured, no sugar added, super simple, super clean bacon. So I'm never going to have like non-grass-fed, grass-finished. If I'm eating seafood, it's always going to be wild caught. I'm always going to opt for the highest quality that I can get. So my lunch could be 1 pound of ground beef and a cup of fermented vegetables. Like, and so what I mean by fermented vegetables is vegetables kind of like a sauerkraut. Like, see, I don't really love sauerkraut, but there's all kind of different alternatives now where you can get this good fermented vegetables. And those are the best for your gastrointestinal system, the best for, helping your body decrease inflammation. They're super low calorie, good high nutrient values, great probiotics, all of those things. So 1 pound of ground beef, 1 cup of fermented vegetables, or it could be 3 eggs and a half a pound of ground beef, 3 eggs and half a package of uncured bacon. Some variety of that is my lunch 95% of the time. I also drink 1 liter of water with lunch, and I take 2 of my Thrive Elite gut supports. And then after lunch, I always have a sludge. And all sludge is the protein pudding, right? We use our Thrive Elite protein pudding. I put it in a Tupperware dish, either 1 or 2 scoops, and then I put a little bit of water, stir it up where it makes like a puddingy paste. I keep that in the fridge so it's uber cold. So after I eat my ground beef or my eggs or whatever it is, then I'll have about 1 serving of sludge, which is going to be between 1 and 2 scoops. And then I also add into my sludge 2 servings of Thrive Elite liquid collagen. So I either use the new toasted cinnamon flavor to give it that cinnamony flavor, or I use the mint chocolate. So not only am I getting my protein bumped up with the sludge and the protein, I'm also getting my collagen in one fell swoop. And then again, like I said, I do 2 Thrive Elite gut supports with that meal. So 11:30, as soon as I'm done eating, cleaned up everything, I go for a 15-minute post-meal walk around the neighborhood. It's probably between a mile, about half a mile and a mile. And I'm only doing that to facilitate some digestion. I'm not trying to that's not part of oh my gosh, I'm a psychopath, I have to go walk. I just like to facilitate a little bit of digestion after I eat, because after that, between noon and 1 is what I call J time. That's my personal time. This is the hour of my day when I do whatever I feel like doing. I can take a nap if I want to. I journal if I want to. I meditate. I might watch a YouTube video on a particular podcast that I like to listen to, but I like to watch the YouTube version. I might watch a documentary on a specific type of peptide or amino acid or a neurological thing or whatever it is, but it's whatever I need. That's my day. That's my self-care, my self-love. That's my J time from noon to 1 every single day. I don't schedule meetings from noon to 1. I don't take calls from noon to 1. If you call me between noon and 1, I'm not going to answer the phone. It's just my time. It's designed. It's on the calendar every single day, and it's an absolute non-negotiable. 1 o'clock rolls around. I am back in my office. This is when I do the majority of my outbound calls for the day that don't get taken care of during my morning walk. This is when I return emails. This is when I return direct messages. This is when I return text messages. This is when I do the actual work of the day, my accounting, my ordering, my all of the detailed things that don't really require me to be uber creative. Again, I'm creative in the morning. My mind is really imaginative and all of those things. And that's when I do most of my creative work and my writing. The afternoon office session is for the just technical things that have to get done. 3:30 rolls around. That is time for my second afternoon walk. Again, it's between 3 and 5 miles. And then I know I said earlier, I'll do between 10,000 steps a day and 20,000 steps a day. That 3 to 5 miles is also kind of the barometer of where that falls in. So it could be a little bit more than 5. It could be here lately, I've been actually getting longer because I've had more calls to do. But on average, it's going to be between 3 and 5 miles, even for the afternoon walk. Again, I'll do coaching calls in these calls, connection calls, business calls, mastermind calls, circle of success calls. I'll listen to podcasts, or if Lori's available, then she and I will go and we'll just do a chat. And this is also when I get back from my walk, it's when I consume my second serving of my Thrive Elite branched chain amino acids plus electrolytes. Right? You'll notice that I'm drinking these after a session of, because right now it could be 100 to 100 plus degrees outside, especially at the afternoon walk. So my body is really needing that hydration and electrolytes to just replenish my system. And then between 4:30 and 5 is my second feeding of the day. My second and final feeding of the day, I only eat twice a day. I don't snack in the middle of the day. I'll have a liter of water between noon and my 4:30. So I generally try to consume about 3 to 4 liters of water a day. And that doesn't count just like I don't even count my branched chain amino acids in that. It's just like a big green glass bottle that I drink out of, and I try to consume at least 3 or 4 of those a day. So 4:30 to 5 is my second and final feeding of the day. And then this could look very similar to lunch, but often I'll have a 12 to 15 ounce grass-fed, grass-finished ribeye, New York strip, filet, something of that nature. But again, it's always grass-finished. It's always grass-fed. If I use any kind of, I don't use oils. I'll use either grass-fed, grass-finished butter or grass-fed, grass-finished ghee. So those are the only things I cook in. Those are the only things I season with or do things like that with my food. It also could be a pound of grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef, along with maybe some more of the fermented vegetables if I'm in the mood. Could be the 3 eggs plus either the ground beef or the bacon. Again, another liter of water, 2 elite gut support again with this meal. So I'm doing about 4 elite gut supports every single day. I'll have a little bit of sludge after that, which is just my Thrive Elite protein and a little bit of collagen in there. So I'm kind of getting both those meals. So you'll see my morning feeding and my afternoon feeding look very, very, very similar. Now, other options that I might have maybe 10 to 15% of the time, I might substitute the grass-fed beef for wild-caught salmon. I might have brisket. There's a local grocery store in town that often on Fridays I'll get some brisket that they do that's really fresh and really clean, kind of brings me back to my Texas roots. Sometimes I'll cook carnitas for Lori because she loves carnitas tacos. I'll have some of that. I go through phases of where I'm having avocado more than sometimes, but right now I'm in a no avocado phase, kind of burnt myself out on it. But then often when I bring that back, I'll have about a quarter to a half of avocado with each of the feedings, morning feeding and afternoon feeding. And then again, I mentioned the fermented vegetables that'll often be part of the grass-fed beef or the wild-caught salmon or the brisket or the carnitas, just to add a little bit of vegetable sustenance in there. After dinner, 5:30, I'm back in my office just to make sure that nothing got missed, catch up on anything that came through between my walk and my feeding. Want to make sure we go to bed taking care of anything that is high level. But then after 5:30, from 5:30 to 6:30, that's that hour of that window. After that, I'm completely offline. I don't read emails. I don't look at my phone for text messages. I'm not trying to do anything other than the most important piece of my day. And that's my 6:30 to 7:30 time. And that's my connection with Lori. Lori and I do this very unique thing that I'll share with you guys. I don't think I've shared this on a podcast or even with anybody, really, maybe a few of our circle of success friends, people we hang out with. But we do every night, we do what we call our team exercise, TEAM. I can't even remember where I learned this, and I kind of heard a version of this and I modified it to meet kind of Lori and I's lifestyles. And so team is this. The T stands for touch. So we'll sit on the couch, we'll sit somewhere and we'll hold hands, we'll touch pinky toes, we'll do something of that nature, just where there's that human connection touch for the day, just to get really connected and grounded. The E stands for educate or education. So we talk about what we learned today. So Lori and I are really both business centric, like we love our businesses. And so often the education will be like a lesson we learned about business today. Like, hey, I learned this and this is why. Or if a podcast we listen to will give, hey, I learned this today, listen to this. Oftentimes it can even be something like just educational that's really kind of what I would consider to be kind of silly. Like I'll tell her something I've learned about like a particular, peptide in the body that she could care less about. But it's just our opportunity to kind of share something of the day that we learned. And then oftentimes for us, we use it as an education piece. And these things kind of expand out into conversations. We'll say, hey, this is what I learned about this particular new business software. And then we kind of talk about it. How is that utilizable? How is it this? How is it that? Could be a mindset thing. Like when we're dealing with a situation in business, and we'll say, well, how did you handle that? And then the other person gets to give feedback on, hey, what have you thought about this? So it's just really a time for us to kind of like like combine our knowledge, combine our cognitive abilities, and just help each other. The A is appreciation. It's something that we appreciate either about each other, or that we appreciate about life, or we appreciate about a particular thing or event that's happened that we can both kind of share upon. And then the M is really the interesting one. We call it metric. So a metric for us can be like a mantra, can be like momentum and how we're going to keep, creating momentum in our lives. It can be something motivational. It can be just anything that is really kind of like in that vein of like the mindset piece of it. Like, how are we going to continue to thrive and live in this really vibrant and happy and positive frequency? What we can also use the M for is movement in our relationship. So this is the time when, if one of us have a situation, like we want to like talk about, hey, like, I think we should be doing this better as a couple. Like, we should be communicating more, or talking more, or touching more, or we should do this with the particular, the way we handle, a conversation or whatever it is. Luckily for Lori and I, after 17 years, we don't have a lot of personal grievances. Like, this is why I had to change the M. When I first heard this, the person was talking about they use their M to kind of like air their grievances toward each other. Like, you didn't take out the trash and you should have done this. And it's a time whenever you can't be argumentative. So whatever comes up in the M, if we do need to have like a family conversation to bring us better, this is the time where there's zero justification. There's zero, you don't get to say, I know you are, but what am I? Like, you don't get to do that silly bickering, fighting nonsense that oftentimes couples do. Luckily for us, after 17 years, we've kind of grown out of those early adolescent phases of our relationship. And our stuff is really like mantra-based, momentum-based, movement-based. But I wanted to throw that last piece in there because this is a great opportunity. If you're in a situation and you've got this platform and this safe space to say, hey, you know what, I think we could even connect better and make our relationship better if we did A, B, or C. And then that person can't say, well, I think we already do. They have to absorb it, connect with it, sit with it, and then they can give positive feedback. But this isn't a time to argue and fight. This is a time to eliminate those things. So what I've noticed about Lori and I doing this team exercise every night, we just shared it with our good friends Tommy and Taylor a few months ago when we were in Sedona together, and they're now practicing it every single night and having some really cool like deep dives discussions. But what it's done for us is it's really brought us even closer than we were, and we've always had a really close relationship. It's brought us closer than we were. It's eliminated conflict. It's eliminated any unnecessary like, I know sometimes like you're agitated a little bit today for no reason, or your significant other's agitated for no reason. It's almost like when we start this team thing and we start with that touch, it's like no matter what you've gone through during the day, it almost like just lets that go away, almost like just makes that subside. So what we've noticed is it's really like balanced our frequencies of connection. And it's made us just like really even closer, which is so awesome in a relationship. Like when you've been together for 17 years and you feel like you're close and you don't have conflict and you can find a way to get even closer. It's like, oh my God, like this is such a great tool. So wanted to share it with you guys. So we do that every single night, usually between 6:30 and 7. 8 o'clock, I'm back in the lab. I'm on the beamer for another 8 minutes on my beamer mat, which is the PEMF mat again. And then 8:15, it's head down in the bed. And my goal is to be asleep by 9 p.m. at the latest. Like that's my absolute target. I'd love to be asleep at 8:17, 8:30, whatever that looks like. And that is my day in a nutshell. That's an average day for me. And a lot of you guys are thinking, oh my gosh, I did not really realize you were so boring, Jay. And I agree with you. But what I love about that is I love the structure. If you guys know anything about me, you've heard me talk about this ad nauseum. I'm a discipline equals freedom guy. And so what this discipline structure allows me to do is when there is that opportunity to deviate, when there is that opportunity to eat something outside of the confines of my normal, boring routine, when there is the opportunity to stay up later or sleep in or do something that's out of my schedule, It's awesome. It's awesome. Like for me, if I get to sleep until 5:30, I hit the jackpot. I'm like, this is awesome, right? I'm pumped about it. The average person, they don't even get up. They haven't seen 5:30 in years. So you see, when you build discipline into your life, it makes life so freaking amazing. So that when I do go somewhere, like right now, when you're listening to this, I'm in Las Vegas. Am I going to keep this same exact schedule when I'm in Las Vegas? Absolutely not. This is an average day for me. But what that allows me to do is when I go to Vegas, when I'm on another trip, when I'm somewhere outside of this normalcy, this mundane routine of boringness that you're probably thinking, I get to do, be, have whatever I want with no negative ramifications. I get to eat what I want. I get to sleep longer, stay up later, not be as disciplined, not be as routine, not be as structured. And guess what? When I come back, you know what I crave? I crave my structure. So I've created this life that is so awesome for me. And that's why I wanted to share this with you today. Create a life that you love, that allows you to be disciplined, so that whenever you get an opportunity to have the freedom of, I'm going to go wild, I'm going to do whatever I want. The last time we were in Vegas, we went to a Matchbox 20 concert. I want to say I stayed up till like midnight. It was like 12:30 or 1 before I went to bed. It was awesome. I loved every single second of it. But that's not a lifestyle that I can live on a daily basis, because it doesn't work for my goals and my outcomes. But I'm not so rigid that I won't have those days built into my life. And that's the beauty of it. That's why I always talk about discipline equaling freedom. If you could create a structure in your life where you know where to be, when to be, how to be, all those things, when you get that gorgeous opportunity to deviate, it's not going to derail you. It's not going to derail you physically, mentally, emotionally. It's not going to derail your health and wellness. It's not going to derail your relationships. Not going to derail your money with your work. Not going to derail anything. It's actually going to make you stronger. It's going to make you better. So I would highly suggest that you evaluate your daily routines and see where you can build in some structure and discipline. Because if you can do that, man, it just makes life so freaking magical and so freaking awesome. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I know wasn't uber entertaining. It wasn't life-changing. It wasn't epiphanal. You didn't probably learn anything that's going to miraculously change your life. But what I hope you got out of it is that discipline 90% of the time allows for 10% of absolute magical freedom. And that's freaking awesome. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Create a little structure, create a little discipline in your life, and I guarantee it'll take you to new places that you never thought were possible. Appreciate you listening, and we'll see you soon. All right. Love you guys. Bye. Hey, before you go, I'd just like to say thank you again for listening to the Thrive Forever Fit podcast and watching on YouTube. It means the absolute world to me. And if you would do me one favor, and that is simply subscribe and review this podcast on whatever platform it is that you enjoy it on, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, doesn't matter. I would absolutely be so grateful and so thankful if you do that for me. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you again next week with an awesome, awesome episode. Bye.